Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. There'll now be a
Krishna.
Bhagavad Gita class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hosting, I feel, in Damodar, Kartik month is the best. Best. Never miss any.
It's mic. Different mic. Swap. Just really quickly.
Pramanjali. Pramanjali. Which one is Chama? I don't get any Mahaprabhu. I don't get many now. Terrible, isn't it?
Just hold mic. Hold that. Yeah, I'll take it. Is it working? Switch the port.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So thank you everyone for coming to Bhaktivedanta Manor this wonderful Sunday afternoon. This month is a very special month because it's the month of Kartik. And so it's said that any spiritual activity we perform in this month, the benefit is multiplied 1,000-fold. So you coming to the manor today is like coming to the manor 1,000 times. So now we'll be discussing something from the Bhagavad Gita. Who here has a copy of the Bhagavad Gita? So some of you. Who here has heard of the Bhagavad Gita before? Some of you. Some hands are still not going up. And for those of you who don't know what the Bhagavad Gita is, the Bhagavad Gita is an ancient conversation that happened about 5,000 years old. The book looks a little bit like this. There are different prints, so your copy may not look like this. There's an orange print as well. There's a bigger print, and yeah. But this is what Bhagavad Gita looks like, Bhagavad Gita as it is. And this conversation took place on a battlefield. It was on a battlefield, and the conversation talks about what is our purpose in life. It starts off with Arjun's predicament, and then Krishna, he begins to reveal and clear some of the doubts in Arjuna's mind. So before we begin, we'll just sing one prayer. It's called Jai Radha Madhav. So it's usually sung in a call and response fashion. So I'll sing the first line. And if all of you can kindly repeat after me. Also, if everyone can please move a little bit closer, just so that we can make some more space in the temple room. Please don't be shy.
What do you want?
It's over there. It's over there. Just to put this on. No. There is one. It's going to be near the book. Just to respect the book. So yes, please do move forward if you can, just to make space in the temple room. So we'll begin. Please do chant along with me. I'll sing the first line and then you can repeat. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Ya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Munatira Vanachari Munatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Ya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Ya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Munatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Bihari Radha Madhava Jabihari Ya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Natira Vanachari Radha Madhava Jabihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Munatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jabihari Thank you everyone for your kind participation. So if I can kindly ask you all to repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from the Bhagavad Gita. We're reading from chapter 2, text number 16. So I'll recite the Sanskrit and recite the translation and the purport, and we'll maybe share a few thoughts, and then we can open it up for questions or discussion. So text number 16. Nasato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sata ubayorapi drishtontas tvanayos tattvadarshibhi. Translation. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Purport. Purport. There is no endurance of the changing body. That the body is changing every moment by the actions and reactions of the different cells is admitted by modern medical science. And thus, growth, old age are taking place in the body. But the spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of the body and the mind. That is the difference between matter and spirit. By nature, the body is ever changing, and the soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by all classes of seers of the truth, both impersonalist and personalist. In the Vishnu Puran, it is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. Jyotishmya Vishnur Bhuvanani Vishnu. The words existent and non-existent refer only to spirit and matter. That is the version of all seers of truth. This is the beginning of the instruction by the Lord to the living entity who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. Removal of ignorance involves the re-establishment of the eternal relationship between the worshipper and the worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can understand the nature of the Supreme by thorough study of oneself. The difference between oneself and the Supreme being understood as the relationship between the part and the whole. In the Vedanta Sutras as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. Such emanations are experienced by superior and inferior natural sequences. The living entities belong to the superior nature, as it will be revealed in the 7th chapter. Although there is no difference between the energy and energetic, the energetic is accepted as the supreme, and the energy or nature is accepted as subordinate. The living entity, therefore, is always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as in the case of the master and the servant, or the teacher and the taught. Such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance, and to drive away such ignorance, the Lord teaches the Bhagavad Gita for the enlightenment of all living entities for all time. So before we begin, we'll just recite some invocation, just to invoke some auspiciousness. If you know the words, you can chant along with me. Otherwise, you can hear. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you everyone for coming to Bhaktivedanta Manor this Sunday afternoon. The Bhagavad Gita is set on a battlefield, and the conversation is between Arjun and Krishna. Arjun is a warrior, and Arjun is a ruler. His natural occupation is that of ruling a kingdom. He comes from a kingly family, and when this conversation of Bhagavad Gita took place, he was on the battlefield on a chariot. Seated on the chariot was Arjun, and his driver was Krishna. And this conversation took place between Krishna and Arjun, and that is what we call the Bhagavad Gita. Raise your hands if you think the Bhagavad Gita is relevant in your life. So some people raise their hands, some people don't. My thought is that it is relevant. But let's try to understand a little bit about why the Bhagavad Gita is relevant. Because, let me ask you, are any of you warriors here? Are any of you, like Arjun, expert archers who display magical skill with a bow and arrow? Forget magical skill. I can't even shoot an arrow. If I shoot an arrow, it will probably turn back on me. That's how inexperienced I am. Do any of us come from a princely or kingly background? At least I speak for myself. I don't. Maybe some of you do. Maybe you're hiding it very well. Am I on a chariot? No. Do I have a driver? Unfortunately, I'm not that rich. I don't have a driver. Am I on a battlefield? No, I'm not on a battlefield, and I've never been on one. And I assume many of you may also have not been on a battlefield. Maybe some of you have, maybe some of you haven't. And so when we look at it, at first glance, it seems as though the Bhagavad Gita is not relevant, because whatever Arjun's going through doesn't apply to me. Put your hands up if you've ever felt like that. Someone is trying to share something, or the Bhagavad Gita is saying something, you may have read something, and you just feel like, yeah, this just doesn't apply to me. Raise your hands if you've ever felt like that. Wow, no one. Okay. The reason why the Bhagavad Gita is very relevant is because externally it may seem very different. It may seem that Arjun is going through different challenges. They're challenges of his time. 5,000 years ago is such a long time, which is when the Bhagavad Gita conversation took place. But actually we see that Bhagavad Gita is incredibly relevant, because if you look a little bit further than what we see at first glance, Arjun is going through the same problems that we do. Put your hands up if you've ever had any difficulty in making decisions. Yeah, we all have to make decisions, whether we like it or not. We have to make decisions. And some of those decisions are easy, and some of those decisions are difficult. Some of those decisions are simple, like, should I come to the temple or not? That's an easy decision. Decision is yes. Or it could be a difficult decision. What do I do with my career? What is the way forward? Or for some people, a difficult decision could be, what do I make for dinner? That can be a conversation spanning many lengths, many hours. So we all have to make decisions. But how do we make decisions? And what kind of decisions should we make, which are ultimately beneficial for us? And so here in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjun has to make a decision. He's on the battlefield, and his opposition are his cousins, family, teachers, well-wishers. And so he feels very awkward, embarrassed, ashamed to be standing in front of them with weapons ready to kill them. Naturally, these are the people that Arjun grew up with. Naturally, they're his teachers, and so he has great affection for them. But despite all of that, he's on a battlefield ready to fight them. Albeit it was for righteous purposes, for religious purposes, that the battle took place. But despite that, Arjun still felt overwhelmed with compassion. He felt compassion for all the members of his family who were on the opposition. And so he did not want to fight. And so he tells Krishna, his chariot driver, that, look, Krishna, I don't want to fight. And Arjun gives various reasons as to why he doesn't want to fight. But when Arjun realizes that he can't make this decision by himself, he submits to Krishna, saying, look, Krishna, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Tell me for certain what is best for me. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prachamitam dharma samudacheta yat shreyan syan nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Arjun says, look, I'm completely confused. I don't know what I should do. I'm suffering weakness. And tell me, Krishna, tell me what is best for me. Tell me for certain what I should do. I am now a soul surrendered unto you. And so after Arjun submits to Krishna, Krishna then begins to guide, instruct, help Arjun in making his decision. The first thing that Krishna does is he tells him that challenges, difficulties will come, but we must tolerate them. Matra sparshas tu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkhada agama paino nityas tam stitikshasya bharata. that we may be going through difficulties or times of uncertainty, or we may not know how to respond or react in various situations, or we may be experiencing great distress. In life, these things happen. We also experience happiness. We also experience joy, sense of accomplishment. But what Krishna is telling us is that these things come and go. They're here today, gone tomorrow. Joy today, sorrow tomorrow. Or sorrow today, and that will also not last. There may be joy tomorrow. And so Krishna advises us to tolerate. He advises us that, bearing in mind what you're experiencing, you weren't experiencing before. And what you're experiencing now, you may not experience in the future. And so your experience you're going through will not last forever. It is temporary. This too shall also pass. And therefore, tolerate. Just tolerate. After pacifying Arjun, Krishna begins to explain the identity of the living entity. If I ask you, who are you? You may give me various responses. You may tell me your name, your occupation, your family, where you live, what you look like, maybe height, gender, build, maybe where you come from. You may mention all these things if I ask, who are you? But all of these things, they are subject to change. What occupation or you are in or you perform, what profession you do, what your occupation is, that may change. How you look, that may also change. We look a particular way now, and I'm pretty sure when we were 5 years old, we didn't look exactly like that. And for the children in the room, they may be 5 years old. So when you turn 15 or 50 years old, I'm pretty sure you won't look the same. You'll look slightly different. And so, in all of these factors that we may consider our identity, there is an element of change in that. Nowadays, even our gender can change. And therefore, everything is subject to change. And change is uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable because we're not sure of what is to come. We're uncertain about the future. And this uncertainty, this lack of security brings great fear in our hearts because we don't know what lies ahead. And therefore, in that sense, we find comfort in remaining where we are. We find comfort in thinking that I'll be like this forever. Many people don't like to acknowledge or act on or accept the fact that one day I will also become old. I will become old and maybe I'll have liver problems, knee problems, spine problems, hair problems, so many different problems. But that is a thought that we shy away from because I'd like to be happy where I am right now. I'm comfortable with that. But that does not change the fact that this will inevitably take place. And so change is inevitable. And so in this verse of the Bhagavad Gita, these various changes are hinted at. All these changes and elements of our identity predominantly relate to our gross body, that which we physically perceive, which is tangible, that we see. Like our skin, flesh, the way we look, and what we do with our body. But the Bhagavad Gita here is describing to us a deeper element, an aspect of our identity. One element of our identity constantly changes, that is the body. But the other deeper sense of identity, or the spirit soul, is that which doesn't stay the same, which is described here in the Bhagavad Gita as eternal. And so what is that identity? That identity is that of a spirit soul, a spiritual being. And that spiritual being is beyond these gross elements that our body is made up of. The Bhagavad Gita in the 8th chapter describes gross material elements as follows. Bhumi rapo analo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankariti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtada. 5 gross elements are described: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And so our body is made of all these 5 elements. But there is there's something more, there's something further, there's something deeper, and that is the spirit soul. To help us understand a little bit about the spirit soul, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita then elaborates that this spirit soul is eternal. There was never a time when this soul came into being, and never will there be such a time. This spirit is unborn. And an example is given to help us understand. Just in the same way that at the end of a day, we change clothes. We put our old laundry in the laundry basket, and when we wake up the next day, we put on a fresh pair of clothes. So in the same way, when our current body is no longer usable or fit for purpose, we discard the old body and take a new body. And that is known as the process of transmigration of the soul, or reincarnation. Another example is also given, which is described in the 13th verse, which I've kind of highlighted on, that the soul passes through boyhood, youthhood, and old age. Just as our body is completely different when we're a child, and our body is completely different when we're old. But nonetheless, our identity still remains the same. I'm still the same person. I looked completely different when I was 5 years old, but I'm still the same me. And so this spirit soul is that which does not change. Despite all the other changes that we may experience in our lives, this spirit soul is that which never changes. And therefore, whatever activity we perform in relation to our body is expected to change. It is not expected to last. We may perform certain activities with a view of receiving pleasure based on the body. But because the body itself changes over time, that pleasure will never be eternal. And therefore that pleasure will never have the capacity to bring us satisfaction and contentment deep within our heart. Like, I'll give you an example. Who here likes gulab jamuns? Raise your hands. Everyone likes. I hope so. If you don't like, you must be diabetic. Even if you are diabetic, you probably still like. So if you have gulab jamuns, how many gulab jamuns can you take? What is the record? 5? 10? 15? Huh? 2. Okay, someone said 2. We have 15 over here at the front. Can anyone top 15? Yeah, one person can at the back. Amazing. So gulab jamuns are nice. They're tasty. They're relishable. But after you've had your 15 or 20 gulab jamuns, 15-20 minutes later, what next? What will you do after? You can't continue having more, because if you do, you'll get a stomach ache, because you're already more than full up to the neck, because your capacity was 10, but you got challenged in the Bhagavad Gita class, so you took 20. And now you're full. But nonetheless, after being full, where is that joy and happiness that you felt while eating the gulab jamuns? That's gone. That pleasure that we get from our tongue then disappears. It doesn't last. No doubt the pleasure is good. I'm the first one to admit that gulab jamuns are very tasty. But after that taste is gone, where do I go for my happiness? And so this is just one example of how things change. And this example also relates with our other possessions in life. Today's society has become very consumeristic. Society is pushing us to possess, occupy more and more and more. And there is no end to such greed. But in increasing the number of possessions we have does not deny the fact that these were at one point not your possessions, and in the future they will also cease to be. Right now you may possess a large bank balance, or a car, or a house, or a whole wardrobe of clothes. But at one point or another, these will no longer be yours. Either the car will go or you will go, but one of you will definitely go. And at that point, we feel uncomfortable because we depended on some external source of happiness for our joy. And therefore, when we seek for pleasure based on the body, then we're somewhat setting ourselves up for unmet expectations. We all want to be happy in life, but perhaps we're not so sure on where to look for, on where we can search out that happiness that will actually be long-lasting, fulfilling, deep within the heart. And so here in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we're being exposed to a different reality. We're presently in this sphere of temporariness and world of change, but the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are revealing to us the world of eternality, where there is no misery, no suffering, and immense joy. And that can be experienced. It's not something theoretical, and it's not something so far-fetched that we're not able to get our hands on. In understanding how to look for true happiness, we must first understand where true happiness is not. And that is with the material body. True happiness then comes from our real identity, which is the spirit soul. So then how do we connect spiritually? So in the ancient Vedic literatures it's described that there is one process, spiritual process, that is very, very effective in today's society. Today's society is filled with quarrel and hypocrisy. Love at first sight, divorce at first fight. And so people are fighting at every small reason. And people are so happy to share opinions and speak words, but perhaps their character may not match it. And so in such a society, what can be that one spiritual process that can help us reconnect? And that is described as the chanting of the holy name. If you can all loudly chant with me, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's described, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyatha, that there is no other process apart from this holy name. And that's repeated 3 times in this verse for specific emphasis. So now what is the benefit of this chanting of the holy name? It's described, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, that this chanting of the holy name cleanses the mirror of the mind. Many times in life, we are faced with challenges. In today's society, more and more we are being faced with mental challenges. If we look at scientific data, there is a rapid increase in the crisis of mental health issues. And this is even acknowledged by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadhi balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. That this mind is very turbulent, is very obstinate and very difficult to control, is very stubborn. It's more difficult to control than the wind. Like, how do you even go about controlling the wind? The wind just blows at you. How would you even begin to think of that? The mind is such that when we try to focus on something, our mind will go to everywhere but the one thing that we actually want to focus on. I remember being at school and trying to revise for my studies. And I remember that I was getting distracted so often, so regularly, to such a great degree. Because the mind is going everywhere, it's wandering. It's not able to focus. And so what this chanting of the holy name does is that it brings clarity to the mind. It helps us to understand things in a clearer way. It helps to clear the fog in our brain. It helps us to see. It helps us to have spiritual vision. And with such spiritual vision, we can then act accordingly. And so this chanting of the holy name is incredibly powerful and potent. And you can also try it at home. You can conduct an experiment, try chanting, and see what happens in your life. The first time I started chanting was because someone told me, if you chant Hare Krishna, miracles will happen in your life. And so I thought, oh wow, I want miracles to happen in my life. And so I started chanting Hare Krishna. And lo and behold, miracles did happen. So if you want miracles to happen in your life, start chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you everyone. And maybe we'll just ask, we have 5 minutes left. If anyone has any questions or comments, anything they'd like to raise. Okay, so thank you everyone. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki. So now we'll be singing this wonderful song as the Aarti will commence at 7 p.m. in a few minutes. and the lyrics of that will be on the board, and so it will be sung in a call and response fashion. So the singer will sing the first line, and the idea is that the audience then pay attention to the sound vibration, and they remain silent while doing so, and they absorb themselves in hearing. And then after the lead singer, has finished singing the first line, then the audience repeat. They repeat exactly what they heard, and the singer remains silent. And in that way, we are hearing and also chanting. And when this process is combined of hearing and chanting, it creates a powerful impact on our being. And therefore, kirtan is sung usually in a call and response fashion. So maybe if I can kindly ask if everyone can please stand up while the Aarti ceremony is about to begin, and we'll start singing.
Begin. Ready on Karka?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
So the Aarti ceremony is being performed, and we'll be singing this song. The lead singer will sing one line at a time, and if you can follow the lead singer, then we'll go on to chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So please do join in with the singing and the dancing with the devotees. And if there's some mats around you, if you can pick them up and put them in a pile under the bell. We don't want anyone tripping up. And hurting themselves. We can all come forward so then others can join us a little bit later for the Aarti. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Jayo Jayo Gora Chander Arati Kaso Bhaviva Jayo Jayo Kiba Jaya Arati Kasoba तटवने जगमनलो